My great aunt went with my mother to Syracuse Law School, who is in her 80s and was the oldest person ever to graduate from law school. And they wrote a book on her called Grandma Goes to Law School. It's never too late to do anything. The minute you speak something, it becomes a reality. We're never gonna give our pain a voice. We're never gonna die in the chair. The words you speak matter, the mindset matters. If your emotional capital is not there, nothing else can be there.
You lost your mom at an early age to Alzheimer's. Tell us a little bit about her lifelong learning and how that affected you.
It's a funny story. So, my mother always loved to learn. As you talked earlier, social worker, therapist, that type of thing. She was a stay-at-home mom. She didn't work, but she loved to learn. And I'll never forget, she knew I wanted to go to law school. So she said, you know what? I'm going to apply to law schools, not because I want to go, but I want to see what the process is for my son. So my mother applies to law schools.
At the age of what?
She, at that point, was probably in her 40s or 50, okay? And she gets into law school in Florida. Now, we lived in upstate New York in Rochester. And all of a sudden, she starts telling my dad, I think I want to go to law school. My dad is like, are you kidding me? We live in upstate New York. You got into Florida law school, and now you're saying you want to go? I thought you were doing this just for Hillel. Well, thank God for my dad. My mom also got in to Syracuse University Law School. So my dad said, okay, at least that's only about an hour away. So my mom ended up going to law school in her 50s. They got a place in Syracuse, and my dad arranged his work schedule so he could see her every single day. So I was a senior at Syracuse University undergrad. My mother was a freshman at Syracuse University Law School, and we would meet for lunch. We would go to the basketball games, but that's not the funny thing. The funny thing is that my mother, who was in her 50s, also decided to take along my great aunt. And my great aunt went with my mother to Syracuse Law School, who is in her 80s, and she was the oldest.
She got in also?
She got in also and was the oldest person ever to graduate from law school, and they wrote a book on her called Grandma Goes to Law School.
Jeez. Your mother and your grandmother at the same time with you?
My mother and great aunt.
And great aunt. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That reminds me of Douglas MacArthur goes to West Point.
Yeah.
And his mother gets at Thayer Hotel a room, gets all the books that her son is going to, and is on top of them.
Yeah.
He graduates, of course, #1 in his class, but everybody forgets that his mother had moved in like for 4 years, which is kind of the craziest story.
So whenever anyone says anything, I say it's never too late to do anything.
Yeah, no, you're right. Now, I heard a story once from you that when you were having a hard day at work, you would leave, go into your car, and watch a YouTube video. Tell us about the video and why and what you learned from it and what people can learn from it also.
Yeah, so the video that you're talking about is by a gentleman named Jesse Itzler, fantastic speaker, probably one of the best I've heard. And the video that I'm referring to, he probably has hundreds, is that the words you speak matter. And it's about a 7 or 8 minute video. And it just talks about, what your mindset is, what you speak, that's what's going to happen. I mean, we get up in the morning and we have a choice. We can have a good day or a great day. I won't even say a bad day or a good day. I say a good day or a great day. And we get up in the morning and we can say, hey, look, our cup could be half full or it's half empty. And there's no reality to that. The only reality that you're limited to is your mind. And sometimes you need to be reminded of that. I mean, look, I have my hurdles. I have issues and stresses just like everyone else. And if I can get through them, I get through them. If I'm having a really tough day, I go rewatch this video. I've probably watched it over 100 times. I've probably sent it to over 100 people, but it really helps you focus on the important things and staying positive. And I get up every morning, and in the shower, I have positive affirmations that I say to myself, and I try and put myself into the mindset of what's going to happen for that day and the positivity. My whole life, I never asked myself, was I going to be successful? I knew I was going to be successful. In my whole life, I never said, hey, I can't afford that. I said, how can I afford that? And I knew everything was going to come true, I didn't know when it was going to come true, but it was never even a 1% doubt in my mind that anything I said I was going to do was going to happen. And, the funny thing that Jesse Itzler says on his video is he said when he was broke, sleeping on the couch of 19 different friends, he walked into the office every day and said, I'm a millionaire. They just haven't paid me yet. I'm a millionaire. They just haven't paid me yet. And, I love the positivity, and the words you speak matter. And if you say something's going to happen, it's going to happen. If you don't, it's probably not.
Yeah, we talked about that with Mark about dreaming big, but I want to get back into this video. The word I remember was outstanding, and I
Yep.
want you to tell people. So I believe Jesse decided that he wanted to, I think, run 100 miles. It was like 100-mile competition that people rarely finish. So he finds this like Navy SEAL
Yeah.
that is like the toughest Navy SEAL around, and he, I guess, invites him to his house like to coach him. But then when his wife saw him, and I think his wife's pretty famous too, she's the woman that started Spanx. Tell more about that story, what
Yeah.
actually happened.
So, Jesse had been watching a podcast or something, and he heard this Navy SEAL who took someone who, had never ran before, and he finished a 100-mile race. And Jesse was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, how could that happen? He goes, but it was a reputable podcast, and this guy's a Navy SEAL, so you never know. And at that point, Jesse was running, I don't know, maybe 35 miles, but he couldn't break his 35 miles. So he called this, Navy SEAL over, again, create your own luck. He got him over to the house, and he tells the story about the first few days. He didn't do much. He just kind of looking at him. And finally, the guy said, hey, look, we're going to start our mission at, I don't know, 5 a.m. We're going to meet in the kitchen at 4:45. And Jesse was like, well, we're going to meet for breakfast for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to go beat my 35-mile record. So they talk about when they're having breakfast, and he said how the Navy SEAL said to him, he said, look, today we're going to do three things and three things only. And if you do these three things, you're going to shatter your 35-mile record. And he talks about these things, and he says, look, the first thing we're going to do is we're never going to give our pain a voice. He says, I know things are tough, family, marriage, sales, building a business, running, whatever it may be. But the minute you speak something, it becomes a reality. So if you say, I'm tired, I'm tired. If you say, I can't do it, I can't do it. So he said to Jesse, he said, if I ask you how you're doing, the only answer you're ever going to say is outstanding. Now, if you ask my 9-year-old Sebastian or my 4-year-old Nicholas, how are you doing today? They will say outstanding. So you're never going to give your pain a voice. Number two is we're never going to die in the chair. So either we go out there and we complete our mission, which is fantastic, or we go out there, we give it our all, and we fall flat in the middle of the race. But we are not going to come around each lap and sit down. We are not going to give up. So either we accomplish our mission or we die on the field doing it. Either one is okay. And lastly, we're going to be thankful. Every lap we do, we're going to talk about what are we thankful for? Because again, it could always be better, it could always be worse, but we're here. We're alive. We have shelter, we have food, and we're going to be thankful and we're going to be grateful. And if you do those three things, you're going to shatter your goal, which Jesse did.
And the funny part of the story, I remember because he was showing the video what this guy looked like. So he looked like a hillbilly from like the mountains of Kentucky. He had this long beard. He's covered in
Yeah.
tattoos,
Yeah.
and he had eyes that had seen things that
Yeah.
you didn't want to see.
I think the word Jesse Itzler used was spooky.
Yeah, and also Jesse was so dismissive, like, yeah, right, like
Yeah.
outstanding. But he ended up actually doing it, and it's just, I don't think that people understand how powerful our mind is and how like you said, words matter. And if you have internal talk that's saying, I'm a loser, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a that, then that's what you're going to be. And also the people that you hang around with, I try to tell my kids, like, no energy vampires in your life. If you have friends that are sucking the life out of you, not good. So pick your friends really
Yeah, I think
well.
they say like, show me your 5 best friends and we'll show you what you'll become.
So when we started R360, you were like literally the first person to become a partner. We have numbers. You're actually not 0-1, and I'd love to hear that story. But we believe that wealth is more than money, and it's financial, intellectual, social, human, emotional, and spiritual. Of those, which one have you found the most difficult to work on? We're working on all of them simultaneously, but which one of those is kind of a continuous struggle for you, and why?
You know, maybe the biggest struggle is the emotional. And I say that, not because I have anything bad going on, but you have so many ups and downs in life, whether it's personal, whether it's business. It's not easy. And I've done things and I continue to do things to be the best that I could be, but that's something that's just ongoing. With that being said, there's other things I'd like to get more involved in, like spiritual. I haven't done a ton with spiritual, but, so I can't say it's my toughest because I really haven't begun that journey yet. But I'd have to say emotional. I mean, it's just, to me, that's just like we talked about, the words you speak matter, the mindset matters. If your emotional capital is not there, nothing else can be there.
Well, I just came back from India. I went on a spiritual retreat with my 26-year-old daughter, Amparo, and I would highly recommend. There was couples there from all over the world. It was really transformational. And if you can go next year, you will get a ton out of it. Um, and I'd like to continue going, but that spiritual part is very important. And the spiritual is not only, some people connect it to their faith, but I think it's also more, what is your purpose? Why are you here? And how can you use the gifts that you have to benefit others? And when you look at yourself in the mirror, do you see more of a lawyer or a guardian angel for people?
Look, I'm a lawyer by name or by trade, right? But you know the story. I mean, 20% I'm a lawyer, 20% I'm a friend, 20% I'm a psychiatrist.
But you're
So look,
actually, but at the way you see it, I mean, in this asset protecting, you're protecting an asset that people have built, and also peace of mind.
yeah, I'm here so people can go to bed at night knowing that what they've worked their entire life for, day after day, hour after hour, is protected and they're not going to lose it. And look, it's one thing if somebody does something wrong, right? Okay, you do something wrong, you get sued. But in our society, you get sued for anything. I mean, people just bring anyone into the lawsuit because they think you may have deep pockets, or maybe your son's driving your car and because it's titled to you, you're home, your son, God forbid, gets in an accident and you get sued because you own the car and you lose it all. So it's so important. You work your whole life, but you don't want to be retired and one day you back out of your driveway and you hit a bicyclist. So just so important for people to be protected, feel protected, so they can sleep at night.